Larry Streschley. I'm the country director for IMA World Health in DR Congo. Sanitation in Congo is a major health problem that's not getting the attention that it needs. The estimates for just as recently as 3 years ago was that about 30% of the rural population has access to sanitation. In the most recent studies, they're showing that it's down to less than 10% of the rural population having access. So the situation is getting worse. And the same thing's happening with access to clean water. It's down to about 30% of the population, rural population, having access to clean water. A lot of projects have included WASH activities, but they're just not making progress against the huge demand and the huge need that's there. I think part of that is because they've been so dependent on external funding and solutions that take very long time to implement. So IMA has been trying to address this for a long time. And one solution was for the water side, was spring capping. And Congo is unique in this, in that it has plenty of water and there's springs all over the place, but they're not clean because, or at least where people are getting the water from are not clean because they go to the lowest spot where it's starting to stagnate and get contaminated. Spring capping is a process where you tap into the side of the hill, put in gravel and pipes and make it so clean water flows out in these pipes. The villagers can fill their water containers that way. Over the last 20 years, we've put in over 3,000 spring caps. That solution is not an ideal solution because inevitably it's down in the valley. It will take 15 to 30 minutes. It's very steep getting out of that valley with this water on your head. And so it's very time consuming for a family to get water. Some recent studies are showing that children, for example, young girls spend 15% of their time just getting water every day for their families, which interferes with their education and also exposes them to risk of potentially rape or other abuse that happens when they're alone and away from their family like that. Sanitation, the last project, we put in enough sanitation for about a 250,000 people. But again, that's a drop in the bucket when you have a population of 80 million people in the country. The sanitation problem is the quality of the sanitation. Only about 13% are doing open defecation, which is less than other countries in the region, but only 10% have quality sanitation facilities. And so the challenge is to improve those facilities. And what we mean by that is what's typically there now is just a hole in the ground, and it's a non-washable surface. There's some studies that show that actually can increase the amount of parasites that a child or a person is exposed to if they're barefoot on top of this unwashable surface, where it's kind of concentrating the pathogens. What we're trying to develop in Congo for the WASH needs is to identify local businesses, local groups that are willing to provide services to the community at an affordable price. In peri-urban areas or larger villages, there's often a businessman that's providing like sandplatz, which are the washable surfaces for sanitation. But these are usually locally made, very poorly made, and expensive because the production hasn't been optimized. So what we're planning on doing is coming in with improved techniques, improved products that will lower the cost and improve the quality, and then find some way to subsidize that for people that can't afford it. And by doing that, getting to the critical mass of adoption of improved sanitation. If it becomes the norm, it becomes what everyone is expecting in their community, these things will grow on their own. And after the project's finished, they will continue to function if the financing incentives are all in the right direction to make that happen. A key element to being successful in the sanitation and water sector here is working with the government, working with the population, working with established institutions. IMA has a long history of working with the government. We implement the government healthcare plan through the government healthcare system. And so that is our base from which we work. That healthcare system is very well linked up with the community. There's a management committee at every health facility, and they're the ones that take the lead on things like putting in a water system or putting a water pump or convincing the community to improve their sanitation. There is a group of volunteers called Relais Communautaire. They will go house to house with messaging. Sometimes there are 20 to 60 relays to every health facility. They will get down to every household on a regular basis and help them with health education, how to put in a sanitation facility. IMA's major projects in Congo have been health system strengthening projects. These projects try to address all of the health needs of the community in a very comprehensive way, providing mosquito nets to the families. They're working with wash and sanitation, so very comprehensively dealing with every issue. By working that way, there's a synergism between all the projects. The supervision is done by the government health zone staff, and as they go around visiting the health centers, they're also looking at all the community activities that are happening within the system and reinforcing them. So having an integrated health system strengthening approach to something as opposed to just having an individual wash project is a much more cost-effective and sustainable way of dealing with the issue. Because when you do a study of what Congolese priorities are in health, 80% of them will say it's access to water, but they have a much lower felt need for the sanitation. And so they're not willing to spend a whole lot on that. By using the receipts from the sale of water to subsidize target subsidy of sanitation facilities, we think that we can greatly expand sanitation in the area without being dependent on project after project coming in to finance this. Of course, it will take some project money to do the initial funding, but after that it becomes self-sustaining and self-supporting, and that's really what's needed to solve this problem in the long run.